where Professor Ford thinks this may have happened. And, his dance card, as it were, was filled up. Now, listen, there's a whole lot to unpack with this Judge Kavanaugh thing. When we come back, we're going to talk to Robert Patillo, and a lot of the discussion with Robert is going to be from a practical political perspective, not necessarily burdens of proof and presumptions of innocence and all this stuff. It's why Republicans want to pursue this, and whether or not it would be better to even continue to allow Judge Kavanaugh to have his nomination be put forth to the Senate. Obviously, I have my take on that. Robert has his. You get to listen to them both right after this. Gene Berardelli finally back behind enemy lines, and we'll be back right after these brief words. If you're a long-time listener of the show, or maybe this is your first time listening, you can probably tell that me and the gang here, we like to have our share of fun, whether it's on or off the air. We talk about 2-drink minimum radio and no medication Wednesdays or whatever day it may be. That's why when we found the people at Less Government, More Fun, we knew it was a match made in heaven with this show. Folks, we live in a time where government is out of hand. Our founding fathers did not intend government to be all-consuming in all parts of our lives. That's why we are telling you to go to lessgovmorefun.com, check out the website, check out the swag. What the people want is less government, more fun. Pass it on, make it happen.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save.
Your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of
your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
Your wife, your colleague.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Behind Enemy Lines Radio is all about being right. No, seriously, it is. If you ever listen to Russ Gallo or me go back and forth on some issue, we always want to make sure that we remember who said what and when we said it. That's why we go to goonrecord.com. It's a brand new social media website. Challenge people on what they believe, whether it's in politics, sports, entertainment, finance, whatever. There's a category for you at goonrecord.com. Check it out right now. Tell us, what do you stand for? It's time for you to go on record. Behind Enemy Lines. Back on the air. Gene Berardelli, back behind Enemy Lines. Joining me on the line right now is the man who I want to be when I grow up. Not only is he a great attorney and a great radio host, but he's a great person as well, even though he happens to side with the Democrats every now and then. But believe it or not, we find a lot of common ground. He, of course, is Robert Patillo, Esquire. I like to add that for all my attorney friends. Sir, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am hanging in there, first show back, and as you know, we're having a little bit of technical issues, but we're working through them. But talking about working through things, my goodness, has our nation been put through the ringer with this entire Kavanaugh confirmation circus, as I like to characterize it? Would you agree that things have gotten out of hand?
Yeah, this is ridiculous, and it's completely unnecessary. It doesn't quite make sense why. I'm still yet to figure out what is so special about Kavanaugh that is worth all of this for the Republican Party.
Well, for me, it's not that Kavanaugh is special. Listen, anyone who is qualified for the U.S. Supreme Court is obviously special, and there are many candidates out there that are. But for me, it would be more about, and we discussed this offline, the precedent that would be set to allow tactics such as these, the unsubstantiated allegations and uncorroborated allegations, to allow to become a disqualifying factor for the Supreme Court. That, to me, is a bigger issue, because that could be used by anyone on either side of the aisle, Robert.
Well, of course, I think the Supreme Court has gotten to the point of brinksmanship over the last decade that we're going to have to step back from. The only thing past this is going to be Caesar and Brutus tactics. So we're going to have to reevaluate what we're doing. Since they decided to start using, take away the rule that you had to have 60 votes in the Senate in order to confirm a judge, things have gone completely haywire. We've seen filibusters. We've seen them stealing the seat from Merrick Garland. Now we've got into this where we're having supplemental hearings, unsubstantiated rumors being used. So we got to get back to the 60-vote requirement for justice to be confirmed, get back to standard parliamentary procedures, and go back to normalcy. Who knew that Clarence Thomas and Robert Bork were going to be normal compared to how we confirm justices now?
And I agree to an extent, though I will point out that this is Harry Reid's legacy, and that if it wasn't for his zeal to want to get rid of certain Senate rules, and not necessarily parliamentary procedure, but Senate rules, we wouldn't necessarily be in this position. So in this case, I think Democrats are reaping what they sow, and I can't feel a sympathy for that. And to be honest with you, I somewhat disagree in the sense that a majority should rule over issues because elections should have consequences. The people voted for a Republican president, although some Republicans would agree with that assessment of President Trump. And they have also voted for a majority in the Senate, and they will continue to vote as in 2018 to continue to decide the fate of the country. Why is that not good enough?
Well, the reason the 60-vote requirement was put in place previously is to avoid things exactly as they are now, where we'll have extreme partisanship on the court. Because when you have a 60-vote requirement, that means that whoever you nominate has to be at least bipartisan enough to get, 5 or 10 votes from the other side. It's a moderating force in the political discourse, and it prevents extreme partisanship as we have now. So by getting rid of that requirement, you have the brinksmanship where Harry Reid hammers through to get his justice through with 51 votes. Then the response is McConnell holds Merrick Garland up for until after the election in order to get his justice through. So then the next brinksmanship state is now we're bringing in people's high school yearbooks and high school calendars to disqualify them. And who knows what the next step will be up from there. So let's get back. I don't think there's anything wrong with nominating justices to have at least a small amount of bipartisan appeal where you can get 10 or 12 people from the other side of the aisle, be that Republican or Democrat. That prevents us from having an extreme partisanship on the court and allows us to have more institutional confidence that the people aren't just simply, partisan hacks, but have some appeal to the other side and see things in a moderate fashion.
So in keeping in that vein, is there anyone that President Trump would have nominated that would fit that criteria to pass in a bygone era that we both, mourn for? And I agree with you that the loss of statesmanship for partisanship is a bad thing overall. Is there anyone on that short list that would have satisfied those sensibilities?
Well, I think so. Let's remember that there are a lot of red state, moderate Democrats like myself. The Blue Dog Caucus still exists. So people like Joe Manchin are out there, Claire McCaskill out there, who aren't, California, Dianne Feinstein, arch liberals, and who would vote for a moderate Supreme Court justice, someone like an Amy Barnett, or other people on the Federalist list who are still pro-life candidates, who are still very qualified and confirmed jurists, and who share many of the values that conservatives want. I think every Democrat realizes that whoever the president nominates is going to be a conservative justice. But it's a matter of having somebody who has the temperament, who has the values, who has the confidence of the American people. So that's why I say I don't understand why die on this hill for Kavanaugh instead of just pulling the nomination and putting someone like a Barnett on the court or someone else who is more in the mainstream. There'll be less controversy around them.
Well, I think the answer to that is that partisanship breeds partisanship, and that there's more on the line here than just a Supreme Court nomination. We are right on the heels of the 2018 midterms. And, once again, we're at the biggest election of our lifetime since the last biggest election of our lifetime. And, the next election is going to be even bigger than that coming up. So, obviously, the reasoning is there's a political motive here. And really, that's what it comes down to, Robert, when we've discussed this whole thing, is the politics involved, who's wearing what jersey, is what it really comes down to.
Well, on that note, this is why it doesn't make sense for the Republicans and why this is such an odd fight to get into. because we're in the midst of the Me Too movement. When you just have Bill Cosby being sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison last week, then you have a confirmation hearing where people are where you have a crying victim, and I think most men don't understand just how many women in their personal lives experience sexual harassment, sexual assault, or rape, and have never talked about it, never mentioned it, and carry that baggage around with them for their entire lives. So Kavanaugh is the biggest gift to fall into the laps of the Democratic Party in a generation, 40-something days before a midterm election, because any swing state or purple state Republican senator, if Kavanaugh's confirmed, they're out. If Kavanaugh's confirmed, then all those purple state gubernatorial candidates, they're out. You're going to see it's going to turn the blue wave into a blue tsunami. So is it worth putting Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court at the risk of losing majority in the Senate, losing the House, and losing governors' races around the country, and undoing a decade of progress that Republicans have made? Remember, Republicans have won over 1,000 elections in the last decade. Why give that all up for Kavanaugh?
Well, I mean, as polls have shown, Republicans are experiencing their highest favorability rate in a very long time. At least one poll I've seen has said just that. I wish I could recount the name of it for you, but I'll be able to send it to you later on. And I'll be able to post it at www.behindeniemylinesradio.us, cheap plug. And don't worry, we'll get to all your cheap plugs as well, Robert. But in all honesty, I think this is the perfect hill to die on for Republicans, because this is a person who is the victim of underhanded politics. I don't think that you are saying anything out of line when it comes to, victims of sexual abuse. I wholeheartedly agree with you. And indeed, I thought that Senator Grassley and the majority Republicans on the committee did a fantastic job of being sensitive and empathetic to those needs. However, I don't think the same has come from the Democrat leadership. This letter that was withheld from all parties concerned until the very last minute makes everything politicized. This could have been handled so much better by Dianne Feinstein and the people who knew about this. I'm not going to say all Democrats, because I don't want to paint with a broad brush here, but Dianne Feinstein should have handled this so much better, brought this to the public light, and we could have had a real discussion about Kavanaugh's qualifications and all this. To do it after the hearing is closed, and as a plan B, in my opinion, because plan A didn't work, is to me very concerning.
Well, I think with the Feinstein letter, because from what I understand, it was not Feinstein's office who leaked it. That's according to
That's according to Dianne Feinstein. That's according to Dianne Feinstein.
Well, also according to the Intercept who published the letter. So we know that at least 3 different offices had copies of the letter, and it was leaked at some point. But I do believe the reason that it wasn't brought up before is because, frankly, in any other context, this wouldn't be a big enough issue to derail a nomination. A girl says that she got felt up at a party 36 years ago. That letter comes to your office. It doesn't exactly strike you as something that you need to make a federal case about. But once it was leaked to the press, that's when it became an issue. So I don't know if you can say it was a Senate Democratic tactic versus someone in our very leaky government. Now we know that because of leaks, that people pulled letters off the president's desk. We know internal gossip. So nothing in Washington doesn't get leaked anymore. That's the problem. But with the Kavanaugh nomination, the point is, once it was leaked, once it did become an issue, I understand the moral stance of wanting to stand by Kavanaugh. But in real life electoral politics, this could be suicide for the Republican Party and the GOP brand to be seen as being the people who put Clarence Thomas on the court, who's been accused of sexual harassment, and then hammering through Kavanaugh, who's been accused of sexual assault. That doesn't look good when you have more women than ever involved in politics and involved in the economy, involved in world affairs. So why make this the place where you want to plant your flag instead of simply saying, look, Kavanaugh, what we'll do is we'll pull your name this time. If Ginsburg dies anytime soon, you'll be right up there. But for now, we're going to put a more consensus candidate there. Seems that would save the Senate for Republicans and prevent all of these other factors from coming in that really could put the Republicans behind the 8 ball in 2018, 2020, even 2024.
So a couple of points just in response, and we're talking to Robert Patillo, attorney extraordinaire, host of a radio show in CBS in the Atlanta market, who's really Google